Today's webinar is about understanding BIM. I'm sure everyone of you have heard about the BIM, but those who are not familiar with this will define it. And a little bit of background of me. I work as an architect for now. I have 2 years experience in working as a Revit instructor. And now I'm full-time architect working in Lithuania and United States. So, understanding BIM. BIM is a process for building design, and it's a way to design, construct and operate buildings to involves creating and using intelligent 3D models. And the BIM process is custom-made to address the challenges today. It provides more insight to the complexity of the project, and it allows you to be more productive and competitive with less or more resources. So lastly, it provides technology platform to ease project collaboration internally and externally. So what is BIM? Everybody asks that. So first or more, BIM is going to stay here for a long time, and it's a major process to, as a matter of fact, it's being adopted in a global scale. BIM can elevate many of business challenges, and architects, engineers, civil engineers, structural engineers, and project owners. So on a project that takes advantages of BIM, information coordination is constant, creating efficiencies throughout the project life cycle. As you see, the life cycle of the project is shown in this picture, and as you can see, there is a build, manage and plan and design phases. Also, you can divide that phases into more cuts. So you can analyze the project, you can have a documentation of the project, you can have fabrication, constructions in 4D and 5Ds in time, construction logistics, operation maintenance, renovation projects, and lastly programming after the building is already built and the owner wants to know all the information that it is inside this model. So the users of BIM. The BIM, like the model, is could be used by all of the architects, engineers, structural engineers, and all the circle goes on after all the building is demolished. So building information modeling, BIM, is an intelligent 3D model-based process that equips architecture, engineering and construction professionals with the insight and tools to more efficiently plan, design, construct and manage buildings and infrastructure. And you can see why are you using BIM? You get a lot of benefits from that. So like most of the BIM users gets a lot of benefits, and it can reduce errors and emissions, reduce rework, reduce projection duration, increase profits, maintain repeated businesses. So next we're going to talk a little bit about the software, what's good for creating building information models. So the software. I really like this one chart that shows what software you should choose for working as an architect or a engineer. So as you see, if you go throughout, there's a Revit here and here. It's like to say BIM all the way. And going next, we'll talk a little bit about Revit. And the Revit is a software basically specially designed for BIM, because it has all of the to put all of the models into one and to make them work together, not for only the one person but for all of the group of persons and architects, engineers. And so what's really good about Revit, it's interoperable with CAD. So there's a few things that are really good about that. So as you can see, at first, if you are going to work with the Revit and you don't know how to create a BIM model, you could try at first working with the CAD and then going to the Revit. So there's a few things about Revit that is a little bit similar with the CAD software. So Revit has true 3D designs. It's when using Revit you work with architectural models rather than geometry. You have all the model not working with the plans, but all the model in with Revit you can switch among views, schedules as you like, because you create a parametric building model. Dependencies are automatically updated as you make changes. So that's a really good thing. And next is a parametric objects. Revit has a parametric objects that contains 3D parametric building elements, which carry information about the relations to other objects in the building, in contrast with blocks, solids used in AutoCAD. So you can take a solid from the AutoCAD and use it in a Revit as a parametric object. For example, in Revit, the properties of the wall can state it should rise to the next level or the roof, like you have the first floor, second floor, and so on. And after you specify this property, wall retains its relations to the next level of roof regardless of other changes you make into the building. Dimensions correspond to the actual size of the building. So this is about the families and blocks. And like in Revit you have to align elements, but in AutoCAD you have an on snaps. Then going to multiple design views. Multiple design views. With Revit you can work with components in any way, including schedules. Multiple views can be open at the same time and changes made in one view or immediately updated into the others, making a Revit valuable for experimenting with design changes. You can open plan and feed view side by side to help you verify whether modifying component on the one level interferes with any design intent on other level. So, and the Revit has no command line like in AutoCAD. It has just working with a, oh sorry, something's gone here, a little bit, sorry. So going back to the slide. Yeah, we were here, I guess. Yeah, command single file multi-user projects. So over here, yeah, no. So as AutoCAD users will notice the absence of command line and layer control feature. In Revit, building tools are components on ribbon tools. Visibility of components is controlled through the visibility graphics override features, which works on a per view basis, comparable to AutoCAD. Freeze the draw by viewports color. Oh, sorry, and then we're going to see about the parametric relationships. By using dimensioning and alignment locking features in Revit, you can place building components in relation to others and keep them the way throughout the design. You can lock components together in more than one place to preserve wall alignments, room areas, or door and window placements, even as the model is being altered in the other areas. Component relationships may be constrained or overwritten or your distraction. Dimensions may be locked or editable while the parent objects behave accordingly. Because objects can be aligned and locked into place, repetitive editing commands are reduced, allowing to faster work and fewer errors. Revit also understands the DVG CAD files, so you can link or export them, as I will show a little bit later with the practical work. And producing paper drawings. So in Revit you can draw all the drawings, put them in the sheets and export them to AutoCAD. It's really good tool because you can have a lot of multiple sheets, a little bit similar to AutoCAD layouts, but as you see it has more parameters of that. And the second tool, when we're working with the Revit and if we want to have like a construction documentation, clash detections and so on, there's a Autodesk Navisworks software where you can use to have all of these tools. So you can have clash detection and interference checking. 5D project scheduling includes time and cost. You can make those models that you create into Revit and put them into the Navisworks, and you can check if the MEP structures are clashing with the structural beams and so on. You can choose what objects you should going for a clash. And also Navisworks is good in making realistic model renderings. You can have a simulation of the building being constructed, and so we're going to talk about a little bit about of these tools. So clash detection. So it's a screen of the Navisworks software where you can create import one model of the structural of the building, then you import a second model of the MEP like pipes, and then you can choose which elements you have to create clash with another ones. So when you run the test, it shows all of the clashes that are going into that model, so you can check them. The visibility is going to guide you into direct that position where are those clashes. And next you can have a report of those clashes, and you can send it to another constructor to see how to solve these problems. Next thing in the Navisworks you can do is a project scheduling. You can take like a model from which one you created in Revit, put it into the Navisworks, and you have all of these elements here which you choose, and you can create all of these schedules. Like there's two possible ways to create a schedule in Navisworks. You can do a model takeoff, so it means that you schedule the elements exactly from the model. You create some selections of the elements, then create some like schedulings, formulas, and all the parameters that you need to schedule, and you have a schedule of these elements. The second way you can create a virtual takeoff. So it means that sometimes you have to create a schedule of the elements that are not modeled, like some small things that are not in the model. So you can create a virtual takeoff. You create new parameters associated to a model. You can write formulas, and then you schedule the virtual takeoff. It's a really good thing. that because it's not always it's time to model every small part of in the model, and if you model everything inside the Revit file gets big, and it's quite hard to process on your computer. So you see, when you create a quantification, you choose the elements, and there you go, you have like all of the elements, the length, the width, the height, and all of the parameters. So next tool in the Navisworks is photorealistic renderings. So if you can also do realistic renderings in the Revit, but in Navisworks it's a little bit faster and easier because you create it has the same materials. So this means that the customers can do all of these softwares together. You can create a model with all the materials in Revit, and you can render it, and because it has the same library of the materials inside the Navisworks, because it's the software of the same Autodesk product. So you can adjust lighting, exposures, and so on. And after creating a rendering, you can just export it and save it. And I think now we're going to see the practical work, which is where we're going to take a sample of the Revit model and see how it works and all the settings about the AutoCAD, and then we're going to do some linking the other Revit model and see how these parameters are working. So going to Revit, yeah, you see now we have a quite simple model. As you can see, we see it in the 3D. There are all of these plans, elevations, sections, and so on. So first, when we have a model, and let's say everything is already created, modeled, and annotations is in the way they should be, now we're going to create a sheet where we put those drawings and export them into CAD. So in Revit, when we are creating sheets, we're going to view, and we can choose all of these title blocks that are different families. So it's like we're going to load like a default sums title blocks. You can see all of these, or we can use those that are already loaded into the project. So when we are loading the title blocks, we got here as a sheets in another project browser part. So as you see, we have a one drawing with a already filled inside the drawing inside of the sheet. So as you see, the sheet all has of these parameters. You can write it down. Some of the parameters are from the same in all the project, and some of them are depending going to sheet by sheet. So if you want to write down the parameter that is going like a project name or so on to go through all of these sheets, you're going to go to a project information, and you can write down the name of the project. And if I just maybe change it a little bit, and you see now it's going to be like project name. And if you're going to another sheet, the same parameter is inside of that. Oh, it's a little bit clashing, so we can make it a little bit smaller so nothing is going to happen. And if you want, you can change it to be longer and so on. Just you have to edit the family of the sheet. So when you have a family of the sheet and the drawing inside, we can export this drawing to AutoCAD. So Revit exports everything in AutoCAD quite smoothly. We have all of these settings. We're going to export CAD drawings and DVG. So when we're going to export, we can see we have an export setup. We can change it and modify it. So we have all of these settings inside, and we can export those settings into another project file, because it's not like exportable, but if you create it, you can see it in a file, and you can just use it in as many projects as you like. So as you see, we have those like Revit model categories. It's quite similar to an AutoCAD layers. It's not the same, but quite similar. So if you see, we have elements like walls, doors, rooms, pipes, and so on. All of these elements got like a layer inside of it, which is going to be in AutoCAD. So you can change the layer name if you want. You can just rewrite it. You can choose the color of that layer, and so on. In Revit there is a few categories of elements, like model categories. These are the elements of 3D elements, like in the families, objects, and so on. And there's also an annotation categories. These are the elements like dimensions, tags, text notes, and like that. So when we have those names set correctly, we have IDs correctly, because when you do it, you just save it and you have all of this for another time. So you have a next tool, not tool, ribbon is like where you have lines. You can create the specific line in the AutoCAD. You see there are those types, or you can leave it as it is in Revit, because AutoCAD recognizes Revit like hatches, lines, text, and so on, and the same back from AutoCAD to Revit. Like you see, there is a lines. Now you can set the patterns. It's like the hatches you can select the hatches in AutoCAD if you know the name of these hatches, the text, the font sizes, and so on. So you can then a few settings, you can export it in a solid, polymesh, or solid, coordinates and units, and general. So it's just a format and some other settings. So when you have all these settings set correct, you just have to OK, and you have an export that. So you can save a set, and if you're going to export, just go next. Just take a look at directions where we want the folder to put. You see, there's one thing when we press this tick mark. So if you export it like now, and with this tick mark on, you will have like two drawings, one for the floor plan and the second for the sheet view. So I can take it out, and then I will have everything in the one file. And if I export it, so it's exporting now. Okay, it is exported. I'm going to open an AutoCAD to see how it looks. So sorry, the AutoCAD's loading. Yeah, here I'm going to CAD export files. These are the files that we exported. Let's see how it looks in the AutoCAD. So as you see, the sheet is exactly the same as in the Revit. So we have all the sheet, all those names, and we can change it if we want. And if we go to a model space, we can just edit the model. You see, all of the lines in Revit are working perfectly good as in the in Revit. You see all those line styles are here. Text files, you can edit it, and hatches also works as editable. So there's no problem. If you don't know how to do everything in Revit correctly and you need some additions in AutoCAD, so you can just export the drawing and you see everything, put that together in the AutoCAD. So the next way we're going to do opposite. We're going to take an AutoCAD drawing. This is just a small simple drawing. It's from the Revit sample. So we have all these grids, layers and so on, and we're going to put that drawing in a Revit. So there's a few ways to put AutoCAD drawings in a Revit. You can link them. So linking CAD, it's more like an Xrefs in AutoCAD. You just take the drawing, select the drawing. Yeah, this is one. You just select all of these settings with the positions and the place. You can change the units if you're not sure what units are you using, and then opening in the CAD. So I see it's over here, but I can bring it somewhere that I can see it. So as you see, now the drawing is like a one block, and if I want to create a model in the Revit from these AutoCAD drawings, I can use Revit elements like walls, and it's going to snap all over the CAD, or I can simply just convert it, just like by selecting elements and converting into anything I like floors, walls and so on. What's the main thing about the linking drawings in Revit? It's like if we will going to change the same drawing in AutoCAD, it's going to be changeable here. So if I go back in AutoCAD, and I will draw some new walls or something, some new lines, and we will see if it's going to change in the Revit file. So just a few. Okay, I will save that drawing. Okay, I guess now it's saved. And if I go back to AutoCAD, I just have to, if I go back to Revit, I have to reload the model. Once the model is linked into a Revit, we have a manage links, where you can see all of these drawings that are linked into my Revit project file. You see this one is linked, and I just have to reload it. And so it's going to, oh sorry, it's not the same. Reload, sorry, reload from. So I'm taking this, let's see if the names are correct, because yeah, everything's okay here. Basic sample floor plan. Okay, I just take this one and reload it, and you see all of these lines or walls that I draw in AutoCAD is going to put here back in the Revit. So it's quite easy thing to do. It's not a new way, but just like a simple working in AutoCAD. So next thing, if we want to make those lines editable in Revit, we can insert that one Revit drawing. We can not do the link CAD, but we can do import CAD. So if you're going to import, I took the same drawing again. I'm just going to take it to be used manually, because if I want to put it, so if I importing the CAD drawing, you see it's also like a block, but now I can explode it. I can do a full explode or just a partial explode. So if I explode it like one time, you see all of these lines that are created in AutoCAD. It's editable in the Revit. I can edit and I can change the texts, I can delete anything I want, and so on. So that's basically the main differences about linking CAD and importing CAD files into Revit. So next, what we're going to do, we're going to take a similar file and link the Revit into Revit and see what we're going to change or do, and see what are the visibility and graphic settings inside of the Revit. So for now I'm going to delete this one. Okay, let's take an Revit file, another one, and insert it into our project. So I'm just going to check where the file is. Okay, oh, I've been already inserting it. I'm going to unload it, remove it because it won't duplicate. So I have a file, and I'm going to put basically the same file inside our project. So I'm going here and I'm linking Revit, another model in our model. So I'm taking the same file, and I will show you how to make it visible, the things that I just want to see, not all of the file. At first it's going to be like the same file. Yeah, it's already here, but it's in the same spot. So I'm going to move it because I want to change it a little bit. So this is our project created in Revit, and this one is linked. You see, if I want to take some elements, I can do it in here, but if in the one that is linked, I cannot select it like by element or so on. And let's imagine we are going to need just the building without the site, and just the building element, not only those roads and so on. So if I'm going in a visibility graphic settings inside of the Revit, there's a ribbon that says Revit links. So I can select the link. You see, it's the same file name like here, and now it says it's showing it like a by host view. It means that it's displaying the same settings at this, like in the hosted view. So if I want to change the settings, I just take it and I could select them custom. So I can select all of these settings like details, scales, and so on, but I'm going to uncheck some of the model elements. I'm going to custom parameters, and you see all of these model categories inside of this toolbar. So if I want to take out of the site, I just untick the site mark, you see. Okay, apply, and oh, what's happened? The site should disappear. I'm in a 3D view, Revit links, custom model categories, mass lines, site. So sorry, something's not working the same it should be. Let's go to a plan view and see. Plan. No. Let's go back into the 3D. So again, I'm going to visibility graphics, Revit links, halftone, or see, it's the same filters. No, it should work. Model categories, custom, do not show. So it works like that, but it's not working with the element. So let me see what's it's not right. So okay, let's do with another one. Let's take out the topography, let's take out of the planting, and what's more here, parking spaces. Okay, let's take out the where is railing, plumbing, parking spaces. Okay, apply it. Oh, it works now. So you see, now I only have just the model without any side and other elements. So I will just check it to be back into normal colors. And if I want to put it anywhere, I can just drag it where I want it to be. Oh, it's a little bit delay. So I'm going to put here. I can rotate it if I want. Can move it anywhere, and it's not only in the 3D, but if I go to a plan view, let's see. Oh, it's loading. Come on. Oh, it's not responding. Sorry guys. I can turn off the CAD. It should go back in the Let me check. Not good. And I didn't even save it. So I think I have to crash it down. But I think we're almost over. So if you will have any questions, you could write it down and I will try to answer it. But for some now it's stuck. I think I'm crashing it. Oh, okay, turning on the Revit again. So, but I think okay, going back inside the project. I can link it once again, once more again, really fast. So I just go link Revit. I just choose my directory. So take the file. Oh, it's all okay. I think it's already here. Manage. Oh, I see, it's already here. But yeah, you see, it's already here. I'm going to plan view, and you see my one is my like the project model, and the one that is linked. And if you want to correct the visibility of the linked model, you could just go back to those visibility settings, and all of these visibility settings are different depending on the view, because if I were in a 3D view, I already have those settings custom, and I'm going back to an entry level and I have these settings by host, because you can set up this by the view, all the views that you are using. But also there's ways where you can use some templates, and you can put those templates into all views you want. You don't need to select the settings every time and in a different views. You can just create it once in the plans, once in the elevations, and you can use it for all of these. So now my model is showing like in the custom mode, and if I select it by linked view and also like with the same floor plan, I can apply it. and you see now it shows all the same as it was in the first place. So if I want to make it colorful or without change the details, I can go back here and just now do custom, and I can change the detail level of the model. I can do it to the fine. I can do disciplined color fills and object styles, like by model or by host. And if I go back, you see now my model, as you see, has more details in the walls, if you can see now, because it's quite pretty simple. So I think that this is about it, about getting from Revit to AutoCAD, from CAD to Revit, and from Revit to Revit. So let me see if there are any questions. Control now. This is not over here. So is everything okay? Boom. One more thing about the model is you have to always be sure that you're using those settings correctly, because you can have it by host view. It means that will show it as the way that the settings are in the host view, and there's a link, it's showing like in the linked project. And there's also the custom, that you can change it in any way you like. As you see, all of these settings like model categories, annotation categories, import categories are basically the same as in the project itself. So the same settings in the project and the same in the imported categories. So you can set up anything you want, except that you cannot select those elements like by one and change the settings. There's only one way to see. You can only select it, but you cannot do anything inside of that model. Just select it to check all of these parameters. You can see the type parameters of the element, but you cannot change it and you cannot do anything. There's a possibility also to copy these elements, just to select it and copy inside of into our project from the linked file. Sorry. If you want like to copy the grids, to have a basics for a structure, or to copy walls or floor slabs, there's in the collaboration ribbon there's a copy monitor tools. So you can, oh sorry, it was too fast. So I can select copy monitor and select link, and if I select a link, I can copy elements. I can select it multiple, and I just have to select all the elements that I want to copy from this linked project file into my own project file. If I select the grids, I can select walls, columns, but this tool only works not for all of the elements, but for the main structural elements like grids, walls, slabs, roofs, and columns. I guess this is it, because this is right now like the Revit it works. So if I select all of these elements, I set finish, detach, okay. So you see it got all of these marks. It means that it's monitoring those elements, and if I want to, if in the original file those elements change, I will get a notification that those elements are changed, and I have to to modify my own elements. So, but I can stop monitoring if I just want to see those elements. So finish. I can now, you see, I can hide the that model, and you see my elements, the ones that I copy, are already inside of the model, and I can use it. I just hide it for a second. If I hide it, and you can see I can now I can use it, change the parameters, change all of these settings of these elements by 1. So you see it's copied. Yeah, everything works fine. And so